And right now we want to go back out to the scene again because we have this complete coverage for you. All of our reporters are out there on the scene. Let's go now to our Roy Ramos. Roy.
Nicole and Calvin, we have just been asked to move to the other side of the street by an Aventura police officer, one of the many law enforcement agencies out here monitoring this entire area. And they tell us that they had to do that because they do expect heavy machinery to be arriving in the next 4 minutes. That's what this officer told me. You may notice I am wearing a mask. I'm just a few feet away from where our Janine Stanwood is, and we've had a shift in the wind which has our area now consumed with smoke, and you can only imagine what the firefighters right here behind me are going through. They are right in the middle of that, and they are not letting that smoke stop their search efforts. With more than 24 hours that have passed and a search continuing for survivors believed to be trapped beneath the rubble, a sign of hope.
I saw them looking over the rubble. I saw them hovering over the certain rubble. So if there is hope, if there are some noises, that's hope.
A memorial with flowers and pictures of loved ones who have lost their lives and others still missing now grows just a block away from the collapse.
What were they thinking in those 10 seconds that they had of life? They reach over to their husband, to their loved one, to their grandma, to their son, to their anything. Did they reach over? Did they say, I love you? Did they say, this is it?
Urban search and rescue crews with Miami-Dade Fire persistent in their efforts as they work around the clock, meticulously sifting through the debris by hand and tunneling their way through the destruction.
They could be your mom, they could be your sister, they could be anybody that you love.
Leo Soto still searching for his friends Nikki Langsfield and Louis Sadovnik, a young couple with their entire lives ahead of them.
They were going to have kids, they were going to grow up together, their kids were going to have kids, and all that came to an end on seconds.
Like many directly affected and even those who didn't know anyone in the Champlain Tower, Soto overwhelmed with emotion, but hopeful this memorial will bring just that, hope. Hope that his friends and others will be found alive, but with each hour that passes, the death toll rises, and so does the number of people who loved ones still have yet to hear from. Those unaccounted for, now at 159 people.
We currently have 4 task forces that are operating. Florida Task Force 1, which consists of Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, frontline firefighters, as well as 3 other task force from within the state that are here. We did utilize as well task force members from Mexico that are here, so we kind of incorporated them or injected them with our current task force as we go out, and with search groups, so we utilize them in different capacities.
Neighbors and relatives watching as crews work through the rain and smoke, now fighting fires that sporadically ignite beneath the pile of concrete and twisted metal.
These are the best first responders in the world. These are the ones that are sent to trouble spots. They've been to 9/11, they've been to Haiti, they've been wherever there is a disaster, and they are bringing that expertise to bear right here.
And we have been seeing that expertise throughout the day as we come back out live to that crane right there. This just one of the many large pieces of equipment that arrived here to start removing that, or continue removing, I should say, all of that concrete that is just piled on top of itself. Hopefully, those rescue crews find survivors beneath it. As you heard from the chief right there with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, they do have other personnel helping them from urban search and rescue teams. You heard Mexico right there. There's also crews from Israel assisting in that search effort as well. We're going to continue to monitor the situation out here as things begin to change and as more of that equipment begins to arrive. We'll be sure to let you know. For now, here in Surfside, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
And Roy, as you mentioned that equipment arriving, we know as the night has progressed, things have changed. You also mentioned at the top of your story that you guys were moved, and we know street closures are in place. The fire chief also talking about that, our police director talking about that as well. We also know that those crews out there are dealing with those fires that keep breaking out. And one of the things the fire chief said was it's hard to control it, and they haven't been able to contain it 100% because of the materials underneath the rubble. So they are dealing with so many extra factors when it comes to breaking through that concrete.
Nicole, as if the weather wasn't enough of a challenge for these firefighters, they are now having to deal with these fires that are just popping up sporadically. In fact, I arrived here for my shift around 3 o'clock this afternoon. That fire was already going, and our morning crews, you probably saw it in their live shots as well, because they were dealing with that heavy smoke coming from several different areas of this building. They need to focus on putting that fire out for the safety of those firefighters that are working through all of that rubble to try and find those survivors. Keep in mind, if those guys are hurt, it's hard to locate anyone beneath that rubble.
And there has been talk, obviously, during the news conference about how the media had to be moved back. I'm curious to hear if, in fact, someone was rescued and if there was, in fact, a miracle from underneath the rubble. Would you be able to see it from your vantage point?
If there wasn't the amount of smoke that we have out here, Calvin, I would say yes. But with the fire continuing and with these large plumes of smoke that you see off in the distance, it's really hard to see anything. In fact, every now and then you will see the wind shift and you will see firefighters standing on top of that rubble, which is about 3 to 4 stories high. And they are continuing to search through it despite all of the smoke that you're looking at right there. But if they were to pull anybody from that rubble, at least from where we are standing, we are unable to see it. I do know, however, that we are staying in very close contact with law enforcement, with Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, and if that is to happen, we will be sure to let our viewers know.
Yes, of course, we'll pass that information along, and even sometimes we can't even see the traffic lights from how smoky it is out there. Roy, thank you for your reporting. We'll talk to you a little bit later on.